Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. How was the rest of your night yesterday? Good.
Tiring. I was like, I'm so ready to go to sleep.
I felt that way too. Well, listen,
Uh,
we just got to get through this and then it's the weekend, right?
right. I can't wait for Monday because we're all gonna meet in person.
I
And I
know.
just can't wait to get into things. I'm like, oh, I
I know.
gotta, I
It's
gotta
so
focus.
exciting. It's so hard. It's so different for me doing the training through the computer because I've never done it before. And I so badly want to be able to like pull products and pull these things that I don't have in front of me. So I'm excited to be able to finally do that in person. Hi, Diana.
Hi,
How are you?
doing well. How are you?
Good. Okay, so
I
how
can't
are
wait to know
you,
all the
Aiden?
products.
What'd you say?
I said I can't wait to know all the products. I'm like, I'm just,
Well, there's a lot.
woo.
There's a decent amount. Yeah, we got to go through products. We got to go through glue, infections, memberships. We still got to do too. We got a lot.
Glues really confuse me because I feel like there's a million of them out there. And what's the actual difference?
So, we'll get into that, but did you look at the Amazing Lash Glue Glues page? Is that what you're talking to about or just?
No, just more in general. I haven't looked at the ones at Amazing Lash, but there's like the girls are always talking about like all these different glues and trying them and this and that. I'm just like, it's overwhelming.
So ironically, and again, I'll say this when everyone's here too, that most glues on the market are made up of the same like 4 or 5 ingredients. So it's pretty much the integrity of those ingredients, the quality of those ingredients that are in it. I still have yet to be the mastermind behind what is that exact thing that makes it so perfect, because if I did, I would be selling my own glues. But there are definitely better quality glues because the ingredients are better quality. Oh, here's Kira. Hi,
Hi,
how are you?
good. How are you?
I'm good. All right, guys. So one more Zoom meeting. We got through half of it. So let's just review a little bit what we have so far. Let me see if I can. Okay, so I just want to like talk and just go over some of the things that we went over the other day, and just review a little bit. So do any of you remember what other services Amazing Lash offers aside from just lash services? Go ahead.
We do brow laminations, waxing. We do full face eyebrows. I was at full face.
Mhm.
Brow lamination. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, so we do
Oh, and
brow.
tinting.
Yes,
Wait, is
good.
that the same
So,
thing?
well, no, it's not. So that's good. So the brow lamination is separate from the brow tint. So the brow lamination is going to actually lift those brows. Same kind of concept in a lash lift. The brow lamination will lift the brows. The uh, lash lift will lift the lashes, and then the brow tint will tint the hairs, and the lash tint will tint the lashes. Okay. So you can think of the brow lamination and brow tint as kind of the eyebrow uh, friend of the lash lift and tint. Okay. So yes, we don't do body waxing. So it's just face waxing, full face, lip, chin, nose, brows. And they use their hard wax for that. Okay,
I
so
have one more question.
yes, of
Do you
course.
have any like tips on waxing the nose? Do you get that often? Just because I only watch the video through Skooks, I've never had like the actual experience of waxing the inside of the nose.
No, it's okay. So personally, I feel like, I mean, I'm not there all the time to be able to tell, but um, a lot of people still see Amazing Lash as a lash studio. They don't realize that we do waxing. So we do let clients know, but if they do know about the waxing, they know we do a full face and all of that, but usually they're coming for the brows. So it is, in my experience, rare that they come in for the nose. But as I mentioned yesterday, Kristen, who you guys will meet, she works at the Short Hills location and she was the trainer for European wax. So she honestly, for all the tips and tricks, if she has any tricks, she would be the one to ask about that for sure. But yeah, she explains everything super easy. But I don't even know, most people haven't gotten nose waxes that I've seen. I haven't seen one in the book yet, but again, I'm not there all the time. Does anyone else have any questions? I forgot to ask that in the beginning too. Do any of you have questions from the other night? No? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the full set. Who gets a full set? What kind of client gets a full set?
First time clients or clients that have lost like or have 20 to 30% of their lashes left. Is that
Yeah, so I just said a number like less than 30%, just because at that point it's hard to make it a refill. So if they come in with a minimal amount on, you have like 10%, 20%, you're gonna have to tell them they're gonna need to get a new set. So you're correct, a first-time client, and then also someone that has less than that kind of 30% mark. But also anyone that has gone longer than 4 weeks or 30 days too. Because those lashes can be super grown out. And by that point, they have shedded a lot of lashes off as well. Okay. So how often is a refill recommended?
Every 2 to 3 weeks.
Yes, every 2 to 3 weeks. So again, Amazing Lash has a membership program, and they offer the membership program, which I'll go over in a second. But the main one that they push now is the twice a month membership, where that has clients coming in every other week. I think it's smart. It makes the most sense. The clients, their lashes are the fullest. It makes your job a little bit easier too, because a lot of times those people that kind of push those 3 weeks will say, well, I'm still in that 3-week range, but they come in with barely anything on because of their lifestyle or whatever, however they're maintaining them. So that can become stressful for you guys to refill that in an hour. So they offer the 2 weeks kind of as let's mention this first. And then they have the step down membership where it's once a month and they would come every 3 weeks. Okay. So that refill is every 2 to 3 weeks. What do you think you should suggest to, say, a client that's coming in at 3.5 weeks and they don't have a lot of lashes on? You say to them, okay, I'll do what I can in the time that we have, but you can't fill them all. So what do you think maybe you would suggest for them to come back for?
It's a mini fill.
Yep, I saw you mouth it. Yes, good. So a mini fill. So this isn't just for someone that still needs to come back. Our goal isn't, if they're coming in for a fill, we hope that they are having the retention that they should be, and we are refilling them and sending them on their way. It's not a normal thing to have them come in and need to get that mini fill after. That's just something that I want you guys to remember in the back of your heads. If someone comes with no lashes on, or even I've done it when a client comes late. So you'll have a client that comes 20 minutes late and you're like, okay, well, it's going to take me 5 to 7 minutes to tape you up, 5 to 7 minutes to untape you at the end of the appointment. So I'm going to have, 20 minutes, 25 minutes to lash you. And you'll say to them, I can do what I can in the time, but you're not going to be 100% full. That's another kind of client that you can recommend that mini fill to. Okay, but like I said, communication is key, and you need to be letting them know that that mini fill needs to happen in the next like week or so. Because again, a mini fill is how many days after an appointment? Do you guys remember?
10 to 12
A little bit less, a little bit
or
less.
7 to 10?
Yes, yes, good. So 7 to 10 days, a week to 10 days. Once they hit that, you know, like 11th, 12th day, it technically should be a refill. Now, if there was some weird scheduling thing where the person, it was impossible for them to get in and they can get in on day 11, yeah, that may happen once in a very blue moon. But you know, try to control that if someone is coming in for a mini fill, because you want them to respect your time too, and you want them to get the best lashes possible. So aside from offering a mini fill when you run into an issue or there's a lack of time or a lack of retention, you can also have the client come in for a mini fill. Say they come every 3 weeks and they're like, well, you know, at 2.5 weeks, I have a wedding I'm going to. Well, they can come in that 10-day mark and get their mini fill a little touch up before. Okay, so even if they leave with those full set of lashes, say they're like, oh, well, in a week I have a wedding. Oh, well, you can come back in for a mini fill. It's 35 minutes and I'll fill you right back up again. That way you're fresh for that wedding or event or whatever it is. Okay. Do you guys remember how long a full set takes?
$90 minutes to 2 hours.
Yes. So, give or take 90 minutes to 2 hours. As I mentioned to you guys, yesterday, you will definitely be taking 2 hours to do your full set when you start, and even probably for the first 6 months to a year. I like you guys to stay at 2 hours, but there are cases where you'll finish your client earlier, or if you want to move your time down a little bit, I understand. But definitely giving that quality work and making sure you're getting every lash possible. 2 hours for a full set is a good time. Now, what about a refill? How long does a refill take?
45 to an hour.
Yes. So again, in the beginning, and most of the time, you will be taking that full hour, in my opinion. Again, because even if that client, you're just going to have a lot of situations. Like if their appointment's at 6 o'clock, they walk in right at 6 o'clock, they need to wash their lashes, lay down, you need to tape them up, you know, peel off the old lashes. They're probably going to be talking to you when they first come in, untaping them at the end of the appointment. If there's products you want to recommend, walking them to the front. So usually you're going to need those 60 minutes because by the time you go through all of that, you're left with maybe 40 minutes to lash or so. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Excuse the crying in
Oh,
the
that's
back.
okay.
With this whole washing of the lashes, can they come from home with them washed, or it has to be at the studio? Who guides them to do that? Is it us or the front desk?
Okay, so they can wash at home. However, I still always recommend having them wash at the studio right before their appointment. I have people that will come to me and they'll say, oh, I washed this morning, but whatever it could be, you're running out to your car from your house because you're almost late to your appointment. You start sweating for a half a second. Well, now we have that sweat and the oil that's moving around. Who knows, you could be driving there and then you could just be doing this at the light, or something's in your eye, you're transferring the dirt. So you want them as clean as possible. I always recommend them washing there. You should be always asking that question. And remember, you can also offer that lash bath. When they first come in for their appointment, the front desk will go over all the paperwork and everything. And once they're done, the front desk will then walk them back to the sink and explain to them how they should be washing their lashes. They'll return back up to the front, and then you can go ahead, go to the front, grab their paperwork, make sure everything is go, and then you can take them back. So I know I mentioned yesterday, but I want to tell you guys again that there are a couple of moments where the front end gets completely backed up. There's people coming in, there's people coming out. So once in a very blue moon, a client will get missed as far as finishing up their paperwork and getting walked back to do the washing their lashes. So whenever you take that client back, always just ask them, no matter if it's a refill or a full set, did you get a chance to wash your lashes? Okay, because working on that oil and whatnot is annoying. It can be a little bit slippery. And again, as I mentioned yesterday, with that makeup buildup, even if you have that oil buildup, you're not gluing to that clean, porous lash. You're gluing to that oil or whatever that is, makeup. So always doing that. And when they come in for a refill, again, they check in and the front end should usually say to them, okay, you can go back and wash your lashes. Okay. So even for a refill, they'll usually prompt them to go and do it, come back out. But again, always make sure as you pull them from the front, I'll always say, oh, hi, Lily. Nice to see you again. Did you get a chance to wash your lashes? As you're walking back to the room, because you don't want to lay them down, tape them up, go through all of that, and then send them back out. You want to be as efficient as possible because your day is like a revolving door. Okay. Any other questions on that? Or no, you're good. Okay. How long, oh, we answered that question. How long is the mini fill? Do you remember?
30
Yeah,
to
our full
35 minutes.
Yes, 30 to 35 minutes. So we have our full set, which is about 2 hours, our refill, which is about an hour, and then our mini fill, 30, 35 minutes. Okay. Typically in the beginning, when they first put you on the floor, they'll give you a little bit of extended time just because you tend to be a little bit slower at taping up or maybe like unsticking a lash at the end. So they usually will give you a little bit more time for the first few weeks, couple weeks, just so you get acclimated and feel more confident and efficient. And then they'll bring you to these normal times that we talked about. Okay. So a removal, how long is that appointment about? Do you guys remember?
45 minutes.
Yes.
30 to 45.
Yes. So 30 to 45. However, as I told you, it can be way longer than that. So one of the girls that I trained a couple trainings ago, she went to someone, you know, while we were training, she got her lashes done and we did a removal on her before doing a full set. And we were in there for over an hour trying to get those lashes off. Okay. So, I've been there a couple times. It's not fun. So yeah. And then when you're putting, we have 2 different kinds of removers. Do you guys remember the 2 different types? No. It's a gel and a cream. Okay. So Amazing Lash Studio has a gel, which is okay to good. And then there's also a cream that we use that is off brand. It's thicker. A lot of the girls like that a little bit more because they say it doesn't burn the client's eyes. The gel, I definitely will tell you right now, if it gets in your eyes, it does burn, as does most removers. But we'll go into how to avoid all of that when we go through a removal. So we have the gel and the cream. Okay, so there's 2 different kinds that you can use. Do you remember where you are placing that cream or gel? We're placing it right at the base. So you want to be careful because you don't want to, it's not going to be pushing up in those lashes. And again, I'll be able to show you this in person, but we are wanting to remove where we place the glue. So usually the glue, which we'll go into again, is usually like 2 to 3 millimeters at the base of that lash extension. So that's where we need that remover to sit. Okay. I end up kind of putting it all over the lashes regardless. But if you are someone that is just putting it on like the outside half, you will notice that your lashes aren't going to come off and that removal is going to take you forever because you're not getting where that glue is. Make sense? And then how long typically does that gel or cream remover sit on for before you try removing it? Do you remember that? Seven to 10 minutes. Okay, so you'll let them, we'll go through it, but you're gonna put it on them. You'll let them bake, as I say, for 7 to 10 minutes. They're just gonna keep their eyes shut. I get antsy and I don't wait that long. So I usually start like at 5 minutes. But then you'll just go in, you'll start using lint-free applicators and the lashes will come right off typically. Okay. So I had already said this, but what do we offer a client if the client comes in? They're coming in for a refill or a full set. They wash their lashes, they lay down, and you get behind them and they have makeup buildup.
A lash bath.
Yes. Okay. So we can always offer a lash bath. The first one is complimentary. And when you guys are filling out your stylist notes, you will see it'll ask if you gave a lash bath and you can circle complimentary so that it's noted in the system so that it's not done again to that client. Okay. For free. So their first one is complimentary. And then after that, I believe the pack of 5 is $30. Yes. And then on its own, it's $8. Okay. So say maybe like your client never wears makeup, she never has buildup or an issue, and then they have their wedding and they come in. You can either give it to them as complimentary, or if they already had their complimentary in their past, just have them buy like a one-time thing if that's the only time they ever wear makeup. If there's someone that typically likes to wear makeup, I would recommend doing the lash baths. Now, are you given extra time to do that? No. Okay. So it's included in your appointment, whether it's a full set, whether it's a refill, anything. Okay. So, and I should note too, for a removal, you don't need a lash bath, and it doesn't matter if they wash their lashes before. Okay. Because they're just going to be coming in and getting that removal.
Question.
Yes.
And we should always try to upsell the lash bath at the end, correct?
Well, the lash bath would be in the beginning, because if the client came in, say the client came in, washed, they laid down, you take them, you lay them down and you see that they still have all that makeup built up. Well, you want to get out that makeup buildup before.
Oh yeah, yeah. What's the other thing that we sell in the little bottles for them to take home? Lash baths, right?
Yeah. Well, so it's the foaming lash cleanser.
Okay.
So you're using the foaming lash cleanser to do a lash bath, but you're talking about a product and I'm talking about a service.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's okay. So yes, at the end, yeah, you're right. You will be selling them or trying to sell them a lash cleanser. But the lash bath is if they are coming in before their refill, before we're putting lashes on them, and they have that extra buildup, they didn't get that makeup out, because we want to be gluing to clean lashes. Okay. We don't want to be gluing to that makeup or that oil, because that's going to slide right off and the retention is going to be horrible. And then they're going to call and complain and say, Diana made all my lashes fall off. The girl doesn't know how to lash, but meanwhile, she's coming in with makeup. Okay. So always cover your butt too. So as I said, you want to always be communicating with the client so they understand on their end, like this is what's going on, so that they're not blindsided and blame it on you. And you also want to put it in the notes so that if they do call or another stylist sees them, they know what to expect or what they're dealing with. Okay. If you have someone that comes in and they're like, no, I don't want the lash bath. Like I just washed, it's fine. Okay, fine, no problem. But your retention isn't going to be as good as usual, probably because we will be gluing to that makeup and that oil, unfortunately. Okay, cool. So when she calls back in 2 days, Sasha at the front is going to be able to look at the notes and say, oh, well, I do see that Diana mentioned that she did offer you a complimentary lash bath. And also the next girl will know who has her, so that when, you know, she comes in, she goes to Jennifer and she starts complaining to Jennifer about you. When her client lays down, she could say, oh, well, I do see a lot of buildup here as well. Okay. So you want to be communicating to help yourself out, to help your team out, to cover your butt. Because you will run into those clients that will try to kind of take advantage. Okay. So And a lash bath is done, I don't know if I said this, is done on the bed. So they'll be laying down, you can do, they don't have to get up or go anywhere. And that's why it's recommended too. Sometimes when you lay them down and then you see that mess, then they want to get up, go back out, wash, they're gone for 5 minutes, they go to the bathroom, and now you're 15 minutes into your appointment. Okay. And she probably doesn't have a lot of lashes on because she had makeup buildup, which was making them slough off even earlier. Okay, so a patch test. Who would we recommend a patch test to?
First time client?
You can, but it's not needed. Like if someone calls, you wouldn't say, you've never been here before. Okay, come in for a patch test first. You wouldn't need to do that. So for a patch test, if a client calls and they're nervous or they say, I have no idea if I'm allergic, I'm allergic to a lot of things, or they have a lot of questions, weary, unsure, you can offer that to them. Usually it would be more so the front end, unless you had a client come in that, well, they really should be scheduled at the front, because it shouldn't be that they're booked for a full set and then they only come in for a patch test with you, because a patch test is free and you're not getting paid that full set. You know what I'm saying? So usually you'll have it in your book just as that. But yes, if they are super uncomfortable or they don't know, or maybe someone, a family member, you can offer a patch test. Otherwise, it usually goes through the front when they call. And where are we putting those lashes, and about how many, what size, what are we doing with the patch test?
Isn't it like 3 or 4 on like the outer corner?
Mhm.
And you should match them to like close to the natural length.
Yes. So, I put 5 in here. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah, 3, 4, 5 is fine on each eye. You're going to be taping them up like you normally would. So you're kind of going through everything like you would as if it was a full set or a refill, but you're just stopping after you do those 3 lashes, or 4 lashes. So you're putting them on the outside, and you don't even have to match them to the length. You're just going to go for the shortest ones that we carry, which is 8 millimeters. One thing I will mention to you now, and I'll mention it to you in the future. And I said that we go based off of our clients' natural lashes when we choose the length that we want for them. Sorry, hold on, Ruth just texted me. Oh no. Okay, sorry. You always want to use a short lash for the patch test. You won't see it. And when you're doing a regular full set, you can put lash extensions on clients that are shorter than their natural lash. I know that sounds weird and reversed, but for some clients, it's the curl that they want, and they may have these small lids. We're not going to put super long ones on, but their natural lashes may be very long. You can still put extensions that are shorter than their natural lash, and it won't look weird. It's not going to be like you got 2 different things going on. You won't even see it. The only way you would see it is if you were up close, really staring like that, but it doesn't look weird at all. Okay. So that's one thing I want to mention. So when you're doing that patch test, always just do the shortest length that we carry, which is an 8 millimeter. Okay. So how long do we have to wait before we see if they're allergic?
Is it 24 hours?
So 24 hours. If they have no reaction, then they can come in for their full set appointment. Okay. What I would recommend doing is do the patch test. And when you walk them up to the front, have them book that appointment and save it. And then if they have any issues, they can call back and cancel it. Because sometimes you'll have them go home, then they never want to get around to it. They don't get around to coming back. So try to have them book that full set and then tell them to give you a call back if there's any issues in the next 24 hours. Okay. And let them know that that's what they're doing, that you're booking the appointment. Okay. So we also mentioned we have the lash lift, the lash tint, the brow lamination, and regular waxing. So when it comes to lashing, when we talk about classic lashes, how many lash extensions are on one natural lash?
80 to 120, 200.
So, okay, so yes, because we're filling all of the natural lashes, but how, if I have a natural lash, how many lash extensions am I putting on one lash? Yes,
One.
good. So with classics, it's 1-to-1, okay? Never 2-to-1. We never want our little neighbors stuck to it. I'm gonna be crazy about that. I'm gonna make sure you don't want anything stuck, because that client's gonna call because they're gonna be in pain. Their lashes are gonna get crooked and weird because of the other way that the lash that's growing out next to them is pulling them. It's gonna be painful. It's gonna cause damage. The clients are not gonna be happy. So classic is always 1-to-1, and it is the most natural option for most clients. Okay. Classic will look different on everyone, as we mentioned, because it is always going to be dependent on how many natural lashes they have. Okay. So communication is key. I'll keep going back to that, making sure that you're setting that client up for the correct expectation. So for volume lashes, do you guys remember how many lash extensions are on one natural lash for volume? 2 to 6. 2 to 6 natural lash, 2 to 6 lash extensions. We create a fan and we put them on the lash. At Amazing Lash, we carry the pre-made fans, which is 3D and 6D. Okay, so 3 lashes in one fan and 6 lashes in one fan. Let's see.
I have a question.
Yes.
So at Amazing Lash, it's only the 3 or 6 that we're like applying, not like any in
Yes.
between. Okay.
Yeah, they don't have in between. So that's because it's, it is a franchise, and it would be kind of even more confusing for a lot of lash artists to be having 40, 50, 60, 70, and not understand. So, basically the way Amazing Lash does it is for you to be using the 3D on someone that doesn't want that much volume, or they have natural lashes that are very thin. And then the 60 is for people that want a bolder look and their natural lashes can handle it. Okay. So remember, the more lashes we have, it's the more weight. So if you go thinner, you can put more lashes on. Okay. And it's always, again, based on their natural lash. Do you guys remember the diameters that I recommended for classic lashing? There were 2 diameters, and there was one that I said, please stay away from.
No higher than 14.
0.15.
0.15.
0.15. So, okay. So, your answer was for the lash length. Okay. So that was, I think that's what you were thinking.
I was thinking that.
Yeah. So remember, we have the length of the lash, how long it's coming out, but the diameter, remember, is the base of that cylindrical lash. Okay. So at the very base, a lash extension, if you put it under magnification, it looks like a cone. Okay. A party hat. Think of that, cornucopia, something like that. So we're measuring the diameter of the base of that circle. Okay. So with a classic, you can go heavier because it's one lash. So for classic, I told you guys that 0.15 was going to be like what most people would probably be using, like 75% of people. The 0.12 is used for people that have thinner, not as healthy lashes. And the 0.20, which Amazing Lash carries, is the one that I always say to stay away from. Okay. So a lot of people in Amazing Lash still use that, but that's because that's how they were trained. But like, if you have anyone that comes to you with a 0.20, try to kind of change them over, or like start to mix in some 0.15s in there. Okay. Because it'll definitely, you'll see the damage that it'll do over time. So for volume, not mega volume, just volume. Do you remember kind of the diameters, the popular diameters, or the diameter that I said that we use at Amazing Lash for volume? No. Okay, so 0.07 is what we use at Amazing Lash. People also use a 0.06 for volume 2. You only really need to know that 0.07 because that's what we're using. And then if you guys remember, I said that 0.10 kind of falls in between. It's more so for classic, but they say that you can kind of once in a while do like a 2D. So it's only no more than a 2D of 0.10s. Does that make sense? But you don't need to know about those. We use 0.07. That's what you need to know. As far as the diameter that we're using. Okay. And then do you remember like what the mega volume was? So we have 0.15 and 0.12 for classic. 0.10 kind of falls in that middle. Then we have 0.7, 0.6 for volume. And what do you think mega volume?
0.03.
That's one of them. And the other one is 0.05. Okay. So again, we have those pre-made fans from Paris Academy. I didn't tell you the brand yesterday, but Paris Lash, whichever. So we have those and I'll show you those. We have the mega volume pre-made fans, okay, that are not with the brand. So we have the 3D Amazing Lash, we have the 6D Amazing Lash, and then we have the off-brand mega volume pre-mades. Okay. And then does anyone remember what a hybrid set is or a hybrid refill? Just think of that name.
It's a mix of the classic and volume.
Yes. So it is a mix of the classic and volume. And remember too, that it doesn't have to be 50-50. It can be based on your client and what she feels comfortable with or what you think the natural lashes can handle, but you can do a heavier volume or a lighter volume, okay? And remember too, that if they are getting a hybrid, it is the same upgrade price as a volume. So typically if you go to studios outside of Amazing Lash, just like small studios, privately owned, they usually charge classic being the cheapest, hybrid being the middle price, volume being that large price, and mega volume being even more. Okay. But for us, it's a little bit different because there's not really a way to kind of say, I'm doing this on everyone. There's going to be people that you do a lighter volume. There's going to be people that you do a heavier volume. Okay. You do want to make sure that you are giving them a decent amount though, even if they are getting a lighter volume, because at the end of the day, they are paying for that upcharge and they do want to see a difference in the classic. Okay. So I would always start with, if you can, with the hybrid, unless you have a client that's like, oh, I'm really nervous. And you're like, no, I'll do it really light. Then you can do like 30 to 40% of their lashes. But if they're going for that hybrid set to start, or they want to transition, I would start with like 50-50. And then you can always say to them, do you like them? Do you want to go darker next time, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then, so we talked about classic is 1-to-1, volume is 2-to-6. And then do you remember what mega volume was? How many lashes are in a fan? Seven.
Oh.
7 to 13. So, you're not wrong, because I wrote accidentally in my volume yesterday 2-to-5, and then I wrote 2-to-6. So yeah, so that's 60, because remember we have the 60 at Amazing Lash, that's volume, that's not mega volume. And it's not necessarily specifically because of the number, it's because of that diameter. Remember that 0.07. All right. So we know about the lash growth cycles. Okay, so let's go over. Share screen. Okay, so the maintenance program that we have, the maintenance program has both monthly and pay in full options. Most people have that monthly option. So the pay in full is a 1 year pay in full. And then the monthly membership, obviously, it comes out every day on the same day. And I don't know if it still is, but it used to always be, it would be different for everyone. So if you signed up on that day, it would hit that day every month. Okay. So the standard maintenance program is that 2 refill services a month. So when you're talking about aftercare with them, I would recommend having them come back in that 2 weeks. Because like I said, it's better for both of you. I mean, it's less work for you because they come in with fuller lashes and ones that are less grown out, and they get that fuller look constantly. They're not walking around on week 3 looking like Cynthia from Rugrats. Okay. The Cynthia doll, whichever. So we have the standard maintenance program, and then we have the, and then we have the drop down maintenance offer, which is the 1 refill service a month. Okay. So if they're like, I don't want to do the twice a month because the twice a month is $120, it's $119. They can do the drop down once a month offer, which is $69.99. I'm almost sure. I'm almost positive. So the issue with the once a month that people don't recognize is that there are 4 weeks in a month, and you need to come no later than 3 weeks for your refill. So let's just say someone comes for their full set on January 1st. They're going to come back and they're going to use their first refill and in that last week of January. Okay. Because that's 3 weeks after. Then what happens 3 weeks later, they hit the 3rd week of February. In March, they hit the 2nd week in March. In April, they hit the 1st week, and then they have to come again in 3 weeks again at the end of April, and they have to pay for that extra refill because they're not realizing that it's every 3 weeks. It's not necessarily going to come out once a month. Do you understand what I'm saying? At some point, you're going to have to pay for that extra refill. I think like two, maybe 3 times a year, where they end up not rolling over quick enough because you're coming every 3 weeks and there's 4 weeks in a month. Does that make sense? Does anyone not get that? I feel like I didn't explain that well. Okay, so the maintenance program can be used at any location. So you have a client and she's going to California for 3 weeks. Well, she can come to you and in 2 weeks, go to a girl in California and get her lashes done. Okay. Members receive 10% off retail products. And I thought it was 20. I don't know why I wrote 25. I think it's 20% off additional services. I got to double check on that one. So they receive 10% off their retail products and an extra percentage off additional services, which we'll go into in a second. So you kind of understand that more. So the introductory offer, all Amazing Lash Studios offer a first time only guest the same introductory price of $89.99 for black synthetic lash extensions. Volume lashes can be added as an additional upcharge to that introductory offer. Okay, so that $90 introductory price is for classic extensions. One thing I want to mention to you guys too, that's probably important to note, since we were talking about lash extensions yesterday, is you will see, like, you know, throughout lashing and online and people's websites, that people will call things faux mink, silk, faux cashmere. They're pretty much all plastic. Okay, so back in the day, mink was like kind of popular and it was like the bougie of the lash extensions. However, what people fail to realize is a few different things. There's the animal cruelty aspect with mink. People will even say, oh no, like we pet them, We just brush them, so there's no harm, but in order to brush them, they have to be in a cage. They're typically very aggressive animals, so it's an animal that you would have to catch. So there's the animal cruelty aspect. There's the allergy aspect because of the dander. A lot of people are allergic. And they also lose their curl, and they're expensive. So there's not a great benefit to them. Like, synthetic have come such a far way. They're no longer that plastic look. You'll see companies, like I said, write on their thing, like no one wants to write plastic lashes. Like they're going to put like vegan lashes or faux mink lashes. You'll see a lot of like faux mink. People will still even I've seen brands call it mink, and it's not mink. It's still that. It's called like PBT. I don't even know how to actually say it. Polybutylene something or other. It's literally plastic. But they have just come so far with lash extensions and how they feel and how they look. They don't have that shiny, plasticky, hard, fake look anymore. So you probably will have clients that ask, like, what's it made of? It's just PBT, I would say. Yeah.
When, let's see, how do I explain this? So when they're getting a service, let's say they want to add, I don't know, they have natural, then they want to add volume. Like if they start making changes, is that before they lay down in the bed or while I'm kind of working on them?
So like if they say they came for a classic set, and you're saying like if they come back for a refill and want to change, or even if they come in first time, I would talk to them. So you will have clients that'll change right before their appointment or when they get in your room. Obviously, you're not going to change what you're doing halfway through the appointment. But when they come in and you take them back, you'll say to them, "Oh, did you get a chance to wash your lashes? Okay, cool." As they're coming in, you're closing the door. "How was everything? Do you like your lashes? Are you happy with them?" And then they'll usually be like, "Yeah. Is there any way we can go longer?" Or, "Yeah, I just wish, can you put some more in there?" And you can, and that's when you would say to them, "Well, you did get a classic set. I did lash every lash that we possibly could. Your lashes can't handle any more of a length, but what I would recommend is going thicker." Okay. So a lot of times people will say like, "Oh, I want them longer. I feel like I don't see them," or whatever. Always recommend doing that hybrid or that volume, because people will still love it even if it's short. Okay. Because it's giving them that darkness around the eyes that they kind of are looking for, and that shape. So when they come in, they'll usually, if that's the conversation while you're taping them up, you can say to them, "Oh, why don't we try a hybrid today?" You can start to explain to them what it is. And then you can go to the front, grab the cassettes, which we'll go through. And at the end of your appointment, when you're filling out that stylist notes, you're going to put that they did the 6D or whatever. And when you walk your client to the front, when you hand them the person the paper too, you're going to say to one of the girls at the front desk, whoever's checking them out, say, she did a 6D volume refill. Okay. So that they know, because in the system, she's coming in as a classic refill. So you need to let them know at the front so that they can add that onto their bill. Make sense? Okay. And then there will be other situations. You may have like a client that messages you 4 days after getting there, or a week after, and being like, "Hey, like, I wish they were fuller." And that's when you can recommend saying, "Okay, so for your next appointment, we'll put you in for volume." Okay. Any questions on this so far, or no?
I have a question going off something else, but kind of just what you said. What do you mean, like 4 days, when your client messages you? Like,
So I was just giving an example, not necessarily 4 days, but I'm just saying, like, you'll have clients that'll follow you if you make a lash Instagram or something. If you're checking up on them, or maybe after like a week or something, they may message you and be like, "Hey girl, like, I have an appointment next week. Like, is there any way we can go any fuller?" And you could say, "Yeah, I'll change your appointment over to volume." Just text one of the girls up front, or even that day, you could still take them in, do the regular refill, and at the end of the appointment, tell the girls up front she got a volume refill. Make sense? Okay. Okay, so just going a little bit more into the Maintain Your Look maintenance program. So with 2 refills each month, the maintenance program is the best value for maintaining her amazing look. Alternatively, guests may sign up for the maintenance program with 1 refill every month. However, this means paying more for the second monthly refill that's usually needed for a lasting look. Okay, so look at the way that Amazing Lash says that too. And that's how you would want to say that to your client. Because if they're like, well, I don't really want to do that, I want to do the once a month. Well, you could say to them, okay, that's fine. But I just want to let you know, just so you're not shocked that a couple of times you may be paying for an extra refill because it will roll over. And you do get that fuller lasting look if you do it every 2 weeks. I am the worst salesperson ever, and I hate selling to people, and I hate making people like uncomfortable and that awkward sales pitch. But that's not what you're trying to do there, and that's never how you want to come across. I find that if you build that relationship with the client, it comes so much more natural. And there's other ways that you can make them feel more comfortable. Like I'll give examples, even when I'm like showing you guys how to sell products, just saying little things. Like sometimes I've seen girls try to sell one of our products that makes your lashes last longer. However, if it's their first time, they may not even need that if they have really great retention and they come every 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So I'll tell the client when I go to the front, like, or even in the back room, when I start to explain, I usually try to send them home with 3 products their first day. The lash cleanser, which they need, the lash spoolie, which they need, and the brush to help them clean their lashes. Okay, so I'll try and do that. And then I'll tell them, in the back room, like, we do have a lot of great products, but I don't think you need any of those yet. Let's first see how you maintain before, you buy things that you don't need, just so they start to feel more comfortable with you and trust you and know that they can go to you and not feel like you're just trying to push products and services on them. Okay. So features and benefits, you have those save on services and upgrades. So remember, they do get a percentage off of the products, and they do get a percentage off additional services. So for guests, okay, yeah, so it is 20%. Okay. For a guest who needs an extra refill for special occasions or just because, members receive a 20% discount off non-member pricing on upgrades and additional services. Okay. Commitment issues, we've got you covered. They can cancel their membership at any time. So that's another thing. It's not like they're stuck for a year. They can cancel whenever. They can freeze their membership too. So if they don't want to cancel their membership, but they're like, I want to take a break from lashes for the summer or for the winter, whatever, they can freeze their membership. Yes, unused sessions carry over. Okay, so life can get hectic and guests won't always have time for 2 refills a month. Not to worry. If you do have, if like say a client gets sick and they miss an appointment, unused sessions carry over, and a lot of times they'll let you like combine. So like 2 refills, they'll let you use for 1 full set. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
You said they can freeze their membership. Do you know how long they're able to keep that frozen?
Honestly, I think it's as long as they kind of want to. I think what they do is they'll probably freeze it for like 3 months or 6 months and then give a client a call before. Or sometimes the client will know how long they want to be frozen for. Like I had a client that would freeze her membership because she had dual residencies here and Florida. So when she went down to Florida, she had her own place that she went to. It wasn't an Amazing Lash. So she would freeze her membership up here. So I feel like they probably say like 3 months or something like that. But typically if it's a good client or anything like that, they'll work with them to let them freeze it for how long, forever, how long they want. So members receive 10 to 20% off Amazing Lash Studio retail products. Members can use their membership at any location across the US. And then if you refer someone, that client will get $10 in Lash Cash, and their friend will get $10 as well. Okay, so they can use that towards products. Okay, so this is what I want to show you about the prices. Okay, so the twice a month membership is $119.99 and the once a month membership is $69.99. Okay, so technically saving $10 for 2 refills. Does that make sense? Actually $20 because 70 plus 70 is 140. One thing I want to mention is prices haven't been raised since I think 2018. And I heard that they supposedly are raising them in September. So just so you guys know, I want you guys to have an idea of what pricing is. It is kind of important. You don't have to know every single thing, but just so that, you know, you do, the more you know, the more professional you look, the more reliable you look. But just knowing these things, like you should know how much a volume refill upgrade. If you have a client that comes in and you're like, yeah, let's try the volume. They're like, okay, how much is that? You shouldn't be running out every week that you're recommending it to a client, every day that you're recommending it to a client to know what the price is. Okay. So things like that, the volume refill, mini fills, things like that. Okay. Retail products, you don't have to know all of them, but I would recommend knowing like the main ones, the foaming cleanser, the brush, Nature Lash, the lash coating, the wand. Those ones I would probably remember because people are always going to ask you what that costs. So as you can see too, it's the member versus non-member prices. It's not an additional 20% or 10% off of the member prices. That is the discount from the member to non-member. Okay. So if someone comes in, they get their first full set, they get it for $89.99. They say, I don't want to sign up. They let all their lashes fall out. They call back in and they're like, hey, I want to book for a full set. Okay, well, now it's $150. Okay, there will be places, and I'm sure Short Hills does it and Warren too, where they will probably say, okay, if you want to come back in and you sign up, then we will give you that member price today of $99 for that new full set instead of $150. Okay. So a full set is $99 after they become a member. So it's that $89.99 is just a one-time thing. It's for their first time, gets them in the door. And then if they want to do the membership, this is what it costs. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, what I want to mention, how it says, okay, so say, so an additional refill is $69.99, but if they're doing their twice a month membership, if you break that down, it pretty much what it does is it gives you 2 credits every month to come in, and you can like turn in that credit and you can get your refill. Okay. So if someone comes in and they lay down and they want to use their credit for a refill, but they want to do a volume upgrade, it would be an additional $25. So they would use their credit, which would go through, which their card was already getting charged for, plus $25. Okay. If you had a client that came in and did a once a month membership, they came in and then they were like, oh shoot, I need an extra refill this month. It was one of those months where they needed an extra refill. Okay. She comes in, her refill for a member is $69.99 plus, if she wants to do that volume upgrade, $25. Make sense? So on and so forth. Okay. So this is on top of, it's not like your volume refill is $25. It's on top of. Okay. All right.
Question.
Yes.
And then the mega volume full set is only 125, but a regular is 99.99. So there's only a $25 difference.
I think it's on top of.
Oh, on top of the 99.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, all right.
Because it wouldn't make sense that the full set plus the volume full set would be more expensive. But also now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, but the volume set is Well, I guess it would make sense because if a classic set is 99 and then you have the volume at 225. Yeah. So that would be the upgraded, that's the upgraded additional charge. Okay. So if they came in for their first time, it would be the $89.99 plus 125. Okay. So memberships, let's go over, what I want to go over is eye infections and irritations. Sure. Oh, where did it go? Okay. Because we need to know like who we can't even do this on or temporarily can't do this on. So you can open your books to 58, page 58. All right, so we're gonna go over irritations, infections, allergic reactions, okay? It is very important that we know the difference between these and we can take the right plan of action to not only protect ourselves, but also our guests. These are also contraindications of a guest that has come in for a service. It is essential that we know that we cannot provide a service and to not further the risk the health of the guest's eyes. Healthy eyes equals happy lashes, okay? So what is irritation? An irritation is an inflammation or discomfort to the body. This is caused by a subtle reaction to that inflammation. The subtle reaction is different than an allergic reaction. The body is sending signals to have something removed or adjusted and healed and be able to relax. Below are examples that can cause irritations and solutions to those irritants. One thing that I want you guys to definitely note, there are so many times that lash artists will like glue a client's lashes together or they'll glue it to their skin and the client's eye is like swollen and puffy and red and the artist will be like, oh, you must be allergic, like you're allergic. They will always blame it on that. If something is not going on in both eyes, it's not an allergic reaction, okay? And just because something is going on in both eyes doesn't necessarily mean it's an allergic reaction. But what I want you to know is that if it is happening to one eye, if there's an issue to one eye, that is not an allergic reaction and they are not allergic to the glue. It's something else, okay? Because it would be happening in both eyes if they were allergic to that glue. So if they were allergic to that glue, that's when you would see like their eyes blew up and they're puffy, okay? If you see like a red line under here, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily allergic. That's usually something from the iPads or the tape that was rubbing in their eye, okay? So that's what I want you to know. If something is going on in only one eye, that doesn't mean they're allergic to the glue, okay? So dry eye, this occurs when the eyes are unable to produce enough moisture, causing eyes to become red and inflamed. The eyes need enough moisture to maintain health and proper nourishment. If the eyes don't have proper nourishment and hydration, the surface of the cornea risks not having clear vision. This can lead to infections if not properly treated, and it can only be treated by the doctor. And that's another thing. You don't ever want to like, you can recommend things, but you don't want to say, go and do this. Okay. Because you're not a doctor. And it'll come back. I had a client one time that, I said to her, I don't know if this is a sty, but it looks like a sty. And I wouldn't recommend getting the service done today just because I don't know. What I would recommend is going to a doctor and seeing if it is. And she came back like 2 days later screaming that she didn't have a sty and it was my fault and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So could you imagine if I said it was a sty? Like she would have ripped my head off. So you always say like, I'm not a doctor. Like I recommend seeing a doctor, but be careful what you say because they will come back and find you. lashes applied too close or touching the lash line. So how I said, if they're allergic, their eyes can be puffy, but their eyes can be puffy because of something else too. Okay. If their eyes are puffy and you did everything else right, there was no lashes stuck together, there was no lashes on the lid, then yes, they're allergic. But we need to look for these things first. Was the lashes too close to the lash line or touching? Okay. So either of these can cause the guest to experience redness across the lash line, itching, or the lashes will pull and feel tight when they are blinking. So a lot of times if a client says it feels like it's pinching, that either means it's glued to another lash or it's glued to the skin. Because when you close your eyes and when you open your eyes, that skin is contracting and, expanding. So it's pulling where the skin is stuck underneath that lash. So we are never applying lashes to the skin. It is always, the book says like 1 to 2 millimeters away. As you become, as you get used to lashing more, I say bring it closer. I say bring it like a 0.5 millimeter away, as long as it is not touching. Okay. Are the guest eyes watering during the service? Check the lifting tape and make sure, guys, like I said, that you're taking notes if you hear me say anything that's like not on here, because you're going to have a lot of clients that come in with a lot of different things and it can get confusing. And if you just see someone walk in with this red eye, you're going to be like, oh, I think you have dry eyes. Like, no, their eyes are probably open during the service or, something like that. Are the guests' eyes watering during the service? Check the lifting tape. It may be lifting their eyelid too high and causing them to feel some of the fumes from the adhesive. Also check the lower lash covering to ensure that it isn't rubbing against their eye and causing much worse irritation. So obviously I can't show you this stuff too much until Monday, but you will be using tape to pull up on that lid. And if you pull it up too far, it ends up opening up the eye and showing some of the white. The client doesn't know it when they're laying there. It feels like their eyes are closed and they don't see anything. But if you put like a little dental mirror in front of their eye, you'll see that it is pulled up and open. There are some clients that just the way that their eye is shaped, you really can't even pull up with that tape without opening it. There are clients that when they fall asleep, their eyes open a little bit and you see that slit. And if that eye is ever open, they will wake up that next day with redness all under their eye. Like you'll see, it'll be a distinct area all under their eye where that fumes were hitting it. Okay. And that's technically called a chemical burn. It usually is painful to them. And it usually is even more painful if they put eye drops in. Okay. So that just needs time and healing. But we need to avoid that to begin with. So if you see the eyes are watering, I'm also going to have you check throughout the service to be making sure that that client, that their eye isn't open. Okay. So when you first tape them up, you're going to check, is their eye open? No. Cool. Are they someone that's talking to this through the service, falling asleep? Are you moving the tape at all? We need to check every 30 minutes or so to make sure that those eyes did not open. Okay. And same how it mentioned that the lower lash covering isn't rubbing against their eye. Again, I'll show you this on Monday, but the iPad and the tape can go up to the waterline, but it cannot go in that waterline. So where people love to put that eyeliner, there's no tape or anything that can go in there. A lot of times if they're talking, I've had clients sneeze, or when they fall asleep, they do that jumping thing where they feel like they're falling, and those iPads, oh yeah, it happens all the time. Those iPads end up moving and it'll push up into their eye. And again, it's not something they may feel during the service or they may not. And then what it actually does is it causes those micro tears in the eye. And again, you'll see that like cut, you'll see like a red line. It's very distinct. I'll show you pictures of it at some point, because for some reason they don't have it in here. So these are things that we definitely need to be mindful of and making sure that we're checking throughout that appointment. Okay. Because we don't want those clients having any type of issues. Does the guest have bloodshot eyes after the service? It's typically from a blood vessel being popped. It's caused by a gel pad or tape rubbing against the eye for too long of a period. It is essential that we are frequently checking the lower lash covering. So again, yes, we are checking. I don't necessarily agree with that it's a blood vessel being popped. It's like that micro tear cut. And if their eyes are completely bloodshot after, that usually is from the fumes, that their eye was open. Okay. I'll show you pictures though. You'll see it. It's very obvious. So those are irritations. Okay. Now we're going to talk about infections. So if a client comes in with any of these, you are not servicing them. Okay. If they're coming in with an infection, it's a contraindication. Do you guys all know what contraindication means? Yeah. Okay. So can't take the client. Contraindications don't necessarily mean that it could mean that they can't get service, like a contraindication if you're allergic to lash glue, but contraindications can also be temporary, such as a sty or contact dermatitis. Okay. So just because they have a contraindication doesn't necessarily mean that it's forever, but if they have these, you absolutely cannot work on them. Okay. So infections are caused by bacteria, fungus, or viruses. An infection can either affect both eyes or only one eye, as well as affecting one or multiple areas of the eye. Below are common infections that we may come across and we will need to know how to properly handle. So contact dermatitis, this is an uncomfortable, itchy red rash with red inflammation that is caused by direct contact with specific substance. I've never really seen this come in, but I mean, to be honest, I feel like it's kind of obvious that if a client, who's going to show up like that with, I don't know, but if they do, clearly they cannot get serviced. Okay. Conjunctivitis, pink eye, obviously, I'm sure we know what that is. If their eye comes in and it's red, if they have the white, gross stuff coming out of their eye, it is contagious. We are not working on this client. That can only be treated by a doctor. Okay. Anything, remember, go to the doctor, go to the doctor, go to the doctor. Blepharitis. So blepharitis is caused by Staphylococcus, which causes pus formation, such as styes. This is an inflammation of the eye that is presented as red, itchy, and dandruff-like. Okay. Yeah, I've seen it before. It's not fun. You will have clients that come in, and I don't want you to panic because you will have clients that come in and they just have like dry lids or it's like dry here, and you'll see like some dead skin in their lashes. Like it's actually not that uncommon. I see it quite often, but it's not blepharitis. You'll know when it's blepharitis when it's inflamed and it's red on that lash line, and then you see the dandruff. So if you see the redness and the swollenness and the irritation in conjunction with that dandruff, then yes. But if someone's coming in because they have a little bit of dry lids and they have some dead skin, that's not blepharitis. But again, cannot work on that. Okay, go to a doctor. Styes. I'm sure we all know what a sty is, but it's those pus formations that are caused by clogged glands across the waterline. They look like white little pimples. Okay. Gross, but not uncommon. Most people have a sty in their life at some point. I've had a sty before in my life. It's from, well, it can be from numerous things, but it can be from dirty fingers, just like your hands, not being clean and you just go to touch it. Like I could have just got it right now. I could wake up with a sty tomorrow, So again, very contagious. Don't want that. Styes can also form from a lack of cleansing, especially with lash extensions. Okay. So if they are not cleaning their lashes, and they're having all of that oil, dirt, and debris build up in there, that's going to start to cause issues such as styes and blepharitis. So that is why it's so important to let these clients know that they need to be taking care of their lashes, doing the aftercare, washing them. And again, we'll go into that because if they don't, it will eventually run into these issues of blepharitis, styes. Okay, so if you do have those clients that come in with some dead skin in there, let them know you have some dry skin. And although you can like work on it, you want to let them know like, hey, eventually down the road, if this gets really, really, really bad, it can turn into an eye infection. And I'm just looking out for you. Obviously you wouldn't say it that way, but you know, just talking to them and saying to them, hey, I just want to let you know you do have a little bit of dry skin in there. Just make sure you're really getting in there and cleaning with the brush. Soak your lashes with that cleanser so that you can get that all out, just because we don't want that to build up and cause any type of infection down the road or anything. Okay. But you do not, you send them home. You do not work on them no matter what. Okay. So 5 stages of irritation and to reaction: eyes are dry and itchy, redness across the lash line, black flecks across the lash line. I've never seen the black flecks. So what I'm going to say about this is that it's different for everyone. Everyone's going to have different things that kind of set them off, or that are, what's it called? Like signals that they have something going on. Okay. So if someone comes in and they do actually have an allergic reaction to the glue and their eyes are swollen and they're like, I want to get these off. Sometimes you can do a removal depending on how bad that reaction is. Okay. Because if that reaction is really bad and their eyes are really swollen, and it's swollen where we put that lash glue and where it's sitting right on that lash line, it's going to be very hard to get that adhesive in. And remember what I said, that adhesive can burn, and it is a little bit abrasive. So on someone that's already sensitive in that area, it's not usually recommended. If the irritation is pretty bad, I will recommend them putting like a hot compress on it and just letting it, the swelling go down if possible. Again, you're not a doctor. I have heard of people putting a little bit of hydrocortisone on a Q-tip and like doing that for the itchiness, but this is like, be careful who you recommend it to. You're not a doctor. Always tell them to go to a doctor if they feel uncomfortable, or to urgent care. But if they can maintain, if it's not driving them nuts, then I would try to put off, like if it's just a little red and itchy, I would have them try to put it off a little bit till it calmed down. So you could do that removal. Okay. Here's my thing. Okay. All right, so let's talk about, and I want to say before I forget, make sure on Monday, because I don't know if we're going to get to it today, you bring in your tweezers. Okay. Just don't forget, don't leave them at home. Bring your tweezers in. Let's go over glue. So glue is a very interesting topic, and it's not as simple as you would think it should be. So the glue is like a princess and has to be treated like a princess, because we can mess the glue up. So the glue is expensive, and it is very particular. So with lash glues, I made a list because there was a bunch I had to go over with the glue, and I didn't want to miss anything. Okay. So for the glue, humidity and temperature plays a big role in lash glue. It sounds kind of ridiculous, but actually the way you can kind of think about it too, if you've ever like painted a piece of furniture or anything outside, it takes a lot longer for it to dry in the winter than it does in the summer. When it dries in the winter, I feel like it takes forever, and it can like crack easily and peel. So When it comes to the glue, it needs to be a certain humidity and a certain temperature in your room for the lash glue to work at its optimal level. Okay. If not, you may start having issues like retention issues. Like if the humidity is way too high, it can cause the glue to kind of shock, and all those lashes will fall out within a couple days. Okay. So always making sure that you're paying attention. You will all have a hygrometer in your room. Okay. And a hygrometer, what it does is it tells you what the humidity is in your room and what the temperature is in your room. Okay. So most lash glues work between 68 and 74 degrees. Okay. That's kind of the sweet spot as far as temperature. Definitely write that down. 68 to 74 degrees for lash glue, typically. And then typically an ideal humidity percentage for lash glue is 40 to 60, 40 to 60%. So there will be companies that come out with glues that work in lower humidities. It just depends, but kind of the average is 40 to 60. So what does that mean? When you're using this glue, the glue needs a little bit of moisture in order for it to set or cure, as we call it, curing. So basically, the way that I like to explain it is you have all these little water molecules in the air. Okay. In the summer, when it's really, really, really humid, you have all these water molecules in the air. In the winter, when it's a lot drier outside, we don't have as many water molecules in the air. People start to put humidifiers in their room, things like that. So when you place a lash, you want those little water molecules in the air that we don't obviously see. They come along and they cling here and they kind of set and cure that lash. Okay. Kind of like it doesn't sizzle, but like that's what I picture it as, like sizzling and setting that lash and drying it. Okay. So when you don't have enough moisture in the air, that glue can't dry the way that it should and as fast as it should. So you'll sometimes see that if you have really low humidity and you're sitting there and you're like, why is I put my lash on and it's just flopping over? Like, why is it doing that? It should be putting it on, holding it for like a second and releasing, and it should be good to go. So if you see it's like flopping over and whatnot, it's not drying quick enough because your humidity isn't high enough. Okay. There's not enough water molecules in the air. Okay. And when you buy a glue from a brand, it should always tell you what it advises as far as humidity and temperature. Okay. So in the summer, when the humidity gets super, super, super high, so like 70, 80%, let's say, what ends up happening is we have too many water molecules in the air. Okay. So when we have too many, what ends up happening is like, as we're going to the lash, and especially in the beginning, when we're a little bit slower, when we first start out, and it's actually starting to kind of glue before we even get to that lash. And it may stick to it pretty well, but then after a couple days, it'll come right off, because what happens is it's called shock polymerization, where it is drying and curing that lash way too quick. Okay. So we want to find kind of that sweet spot with humidity and temperature. Adversely, if it's the winter time, we don't have enough humidity in the air. So that's when I said you have it flopping around, it's not drying quick enough. Okay. So what do? We use humidifiers and we use dehumidifiers at the studio to be able to control that humidity. So the temperature is regulated pretty much through the studio. Just they do it. Someone will say, "Hey, it's too hot. Can you turn the thermostat down?" So you always want to be paying attention to this, checking this. If you're having issues when you're lashing and you're like, "Why is it falling right off? Why isn't it gluing?" Like, I'm waiting 10 seconds and I'm still moving over and coming back and now glued to its neighbor. It's not drying. Well, is your humidity at the right percentage? Is the temperature correct? Okay. So you need to be making sure that your glue matches what it should for the humidity. Okay. So, and another thing that I want you to write down that you can basically think of it as is the lower the humidity, the slower the glue dries. The higher the humidity, the faster the glue dries. Okay, because remember, higher humidity means more water molecules in the air. You go outside in the morning now in the summer and you feel that humidity. There's so many water molecules. And you need to be using something that's going to take water out of the air, which is a dehumidifier. So you guys will have humidifiers and dehumidifiers. You might need to like steal one from another room when they're not there. I don't know if every room has one or not. But you are responsible for filling them and emptying them at the end of the day. Okay. And making sure that you're turning them on and off. If your humidity and your temperature is not right, you're going to have issues while you're lashing and your client's going to have retention issues. Okay. So when a client comes back and they have bad retention, we want to be crossing everything off the list that we can. Are they doing all the aftercare right? Was my temperature and my humidity right? So you need to start with this. If you're not starting with making sure that your humidity and temperature is right, you're already setting yourself up for like loads of failures and mishaps. Okay. Because you're going to be struggling through the whole set. And then she's going to go home, probably not as full as she should. And then they're all going to fall out or whatever it may be. Okay. So temperature and humidity plays a big role. I'm also going to show you guys a video on it that probably explains it a little bit better than I can. So what I want to touch on too is, when you come into the studio, and I'll show you where everything is on Monday, you come in and you will go to the front and you will get the glue from one of the girls up front. They have it in the back, because we've been having major issues with the glue tops. And I will show you how to properly clean them and how to take care of them. But your top should be clean. Okay. It should not be clogged up. It should not have a mushroom on top. No one should ever be cutting it. Okay. So how do we take care of it? So you go in, you get your glue from the girls. They'll sign it out for you. They'll say, okay, she has bottle number 4. I'm giving her bottle number 4. They take a picture and send it to us of what the glue top looks like before and after it comes back to us. Okay. So when you get your glue in the morning, the first time you get your glue in the morning, you want to be shaking that bottle for 2 minutes. Okay. So you're going to shake your bottle for 2 minutes in the morning. Super important to remember. If you say you have one client at 10 and then you have one client at like 6, you probably don't need to shake it for 2 minutes, but I would probably shake it for like a minute before. Okay. So when you first get your bottle, in the beginning of the day, the beginning of your shift, you're shaking that bottle for 2 minutes. Okay. After that 2 minutes, what you're going to do is you're going to go over to the trash can and you're going to drop the first drop into the trash can, because what ends up happening, did you guys just see that? Oh, I feel like a YouTuber right now. Did you guys? Okay. You probably didn't just see that. Hold on. Let me see if I can. So what ends up happening is you get a bubble that sits up here at the top. And when you're shaking your glue, that's not being shook with the rest of the glue. So it's already separated glue. So you don't want to use that first drop because it's separated glue. It hasn't been shaken, shook. So shake your glue for 2 minutes. You're going to drop your first drop into the trash. Okay. And after you drop your first drop into the trash and you turn it over, you're going to use table paper. So the crinkly stuff that we lay out on the bed, you're going to use that and you're going to wipe off the top. Okay. Because if you turn it over and then you have the glue up top and you put this cap back on, it's going to glue shut. And there goes your bottle. Okay. There goes an $80 or $60 bottle of glue. Okay. So you're going to wipe your top and you're going to burp the bottle. Okay. So what that is it's a light squeeze. It's not going to happen right now, but let's see if it does. No, it's not. Okay. So it's a light squeeze and you'll see it kind of bubble up, or you'll see like that last drop come up. Again, just wipe it really quick. Then you put the cap on, make sure it's always standing up on your stand, on your table. Okay. So we shake for 2 minutes, we drop the first drop, we wipe the top and we burp it and we wipe again, close the top, make sure it's standing up. You never want it laying on its side. Okay. What I do want to mention is there was a certain glue that they were using, and now we just started using this glue, and I'm going to have you guys train on it. I love this glue. But there was a glue that we were using by Cami Nugent or whatever, and it was called WTF. And that specific bottle, you were supposed to shake side to side. And some of the girls that work there already are like psycho with that. They make sure you shake it side to side. Jennifer, are you going to Warren? You're going to Warren. Okay. Yeah. So the girls there are like, shake the bottle side to side. That was specifically for the WTF. I don't know if they're going to keep like trying to make you do it side to side, but you're fine doing up and down. I've always done up and down. The only one I will say is the WTF one. If they still use it, it's a black bottle. That one you want to shake side to side because that one really does get annoying and it kind of like burps inside and likes to like glue to the top. But we're trying to transition to this. Like I said, I've never had an issue. But when you are having it on your table, just make sure you have it standing up. You never want it laying down. Cool. Most glues expire after 4 to 6 weeks. I usually get rid of mine after a month. And again, that Cami one, that WTF one, which is that special one, that I'm not a huge fan of, that one for some weird reason lasts for 2 months, but most glues are 4 to 6 weeks. Okay. So you're going to be doing that. Then you did your first shake of the day for 2 minutes. Now you have your clients start coming in. Now, every time before you drop a new drop, you need to be shaking the glue for 30 seconds. Okay. So how often do you drop a new drop? You're going to drop a new drop of glue at least every 30 minutes. Okay. Sometimes if you have really, really, really high humidity, you'll start to see that your glue starts to actually cure. And you'll start to see that it gets like stringy and sticky. And if that starts to happen, you want to drop a new drop. That means that glue is starting to cure already. And we don't want that. We want a fresh drop of glue. Okay. So your client comes in, she lays down, shake the bottle for 30 seconds. You probably don't even need 30 seconds. I usually just do it for like 15, 20, maybe. Just shake it. And then I'll open it, drop a drop. Again, clean off that top, burp it, clean off that top, close it, put it back on the stand. 30 minutes goes by, shake your glue for 15 seconds or so, drop a new drop. You only need to drop that drop in the garbage once. When I'm saying drop a new drop, I'm saying drop into a new glue ring or a new glue dot, okay? You only need to drop that first drop of the day in the trash, okay? So every 30 minutes on your clients, if you have like a 2-hour break or something, you don't need to start all over and do this for 2 minutes again. You just need to do that like 30-second shake, okay? So it's the 2 minutes start of the day and then every like 30 minutes. And that doesn't mean like if you don't have clients in those 2 hours that you have to come back in the room every 30 minutes and just shake it, okay? Obviously the glue separates and we just want to make sure that you're getting a good amount. You'll see if it's like watery and not mixed, or if it's stringy, just make sure you're shaking it. Okay. Any questions on that? No. Okay.
Can you repeat what
yeah.
we should do if it's stringy again? I didn't really hear it.
So if it's stringy, like if you're working and you're dipping into your glue and you pull it out and it's stringy, that means that your glue is starting to cure. So remember all those water molecules. So even though we want the glue in here to cure on our lash, it's also curing in your glue ring because it's exposed to the air. So that's why we need a new drop every 30 minutes. Okay. You'll start to notice when you probably need that fresh drop. You notice it more if you put a glue dot on a lash palette next to you as opposed to in your glue ring. I'm probably going to teach you guys on a glue ring because it's easier, but you do need to remember every 30 minutes. You won't start to see the edges hardening, but you will see that stringiness. So the stringiness, that means you need a new drop. Or if you go to drop, if you shake for a little bit and you go to drop and you feel like it's really stringy, you probably didn't mix this well enough. So then keep shaking and then just drop a new drop. Okay.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
We're not to like tap the bottom, right? Like shake it like that, like just
Like,
because
I
I
just-
saw something on the training where it was saying like don't like tap it at the bottom to shake it. Like you know how some people shake nail polish?
Oh, like this.
Yeah, they were saying like,
They probably said that because they're probably saying it's gonna like shoot the glue up to the top. And also those are amazing lash glue bottles, which they could be different than this, but I've literally never had a problem. We just don't want, you don't want like it coming back. Like, let me show you. Let me show you a picture. Because we had it where I mean, you see how it's like, okay, so this is like, it's okay if it has a little bit, like sometimes you'll see like the bed paper. I try to get it off, but the bed paper, like if you don't get it off quick enough, it'll like stick to the glue bottle and you'll see a little bit. Can you see that? Okay, so that's not like horrible, but then you can see in this next picture, you see how it's like cut and gross. Like that we don't want. Please do not glue the bottle shut. Please do not glue the bottle shut. Okay. So make sure you're always wiping it. Once in a blue moon, if it can happen where it can get clogged. Like you could see, this is like the most mine has, and it'll usually, that mushroom will usually come off, that little mushroom head. And this guy who I've been using has absolutely nothing on him. So most of the time it's easy to take care of it. And if you do have something minute like this, I don't want you guys to panic. But we don't want those clog tops. We don't want them glued on. We don't want messes overflowing everywhere. If it does get clogged once in a blue moon, you may have it clogged in there. They come with these pins. We have them in the office where you can grab them and they just have a little, you can't see, but it's like a little pin inside where you could just put it on your top and then it'll unclog it. Cool. Questions, comments, concerns on that? Okay. One thing I want to mention to you too is that you will be using, they're called nano misters. You guys have amazing lash brand ones, but let me show you. So a nano mister is, I mean, they kind of look similar, but can you guys see the water coming out over here? Okay, so it's a mist. And I'll go over this again in person. But this you'll use at the end of the service too, in conjunction with the fan. But you'll use this at the end of the service because it helps again cure those lashes. Okay, remember? So now at this point, yes, we do want to worry about humidity and temperature. And even if that humidity and temperature is perfect, you can still nano mist them. It helps take away those extra fumes for the client. If someone is naturally sensitive, I'll fan and then I'll do the nano mist and I'll tell them to open their eyes while they're doing it because it feels good for them. It's just distilled water. So you're just going to go back and forth for, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds. You don't want to be too close. It'll depend on your pressure too. Some of the amazing lash ones, it's like a freaking shower. So you need to be far back. But you'll always be using like a nano mister again, because those water molecules will help cure the lash. You never want your lashes to be drenched. You should never be seeing those water droplets on them. Okay. So we'll go over that, but I just wanted to show you this briefly so that you understood kind of this goes hand in hand with that glue and setting it. Okay. So what I want to show you guys, I'm going to show you this video that I feel like kind of explains lash glue and humidity a little bit better than I could. Hold on. gotta share my screen. Okay.
So in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about a hygrometer. It's definitely important as a lash artist to get a hygrometer. You can purchase one off Amazon. They're anywhere between $10.99 and $20. You definitely want to purchase this before investing into an adhesive. The reason for that is because you want to be able to measure your temperature and your humidity, so that way you can purchase an adhesive within that range for it to work at its best. And so you're not having to deal with retention issues. You definitely want to make sure that when you do get your hygrometer, you have it in your lash room and you have it right next to you. A lot of people don't understand that if you have the hygrometer and you have it on your lash cart, it could be close to a window where the sun is shining in, or it could be near a vent.
So I just want to touch on this. This isn't so much for you guys because none of the rooms have like a window in it or anything. So you can keep it on your lash trolley, or there's a little shelf in the corner of the room that a lot of girls tend to leave theirs on too.
To where there's cold air coming in. So to get a proper reading, you want to make sure that you have it right next to you where you're lashing. So that way you're able to read it at all times. So just in case you do have to turn on your humidifier or your dehumidifier, it's right there next to you and it's in your visibility. Remember when you are purchasing your adhesive that you want to take a look at your hygrometer and not the weather forecast. I know it may sound silly, but a lot of newer lash artists that weren't taught about a hygrometer and how to use it, they will look at the outside temperatures and the outside humidity, when in reality, you definitely want to be taking a close look at your hygrometer and what that reads. Some things to look for when reading your hygrometer is, if you look at this right now, I just turned it on and switched the battery. So it does say that the humidity is at 11%. Usually here in Nevada, at our salons at Live Bay, they're usually around 20 and 30%. We can make that fluctuate based on getting a humidifier or a dehumidifier, but
So because they're out in the desert, the humidity is very low there. Okay. So 20% is low. You'll see when you come into the studio in the dead of winter, like I've seen it like 9%, and which is like makes me die thinking about our skin. But definitely making sure that we have the lash adhesive. You guys don't need to worry about that, but making sure that your room matches what the adhesive should.
usually it stays within that range here in Las Vegas. You want to keep track too with the season changes. It may fluctuate if it's from summer to fall or fall to winter. So you want to keep in mind that you may have to purchase a different glue within a different range, just depending on the season change. When reading your hygrometer, you want to make sure that your humidity is staying within range. If for some reason it goes outside of the range and it increases, that means there's too many water molecules in the air and your glue is going to cure faster. And sometimes it will even shock polymerize, which means if you ever do a glue dot and you see the inside have white freckles, it almost looks like, or your adhesive on the lash line is starting to shock polymerize and turn white, that means there's too much moisture. It can also mean too that you have missed the lashes too much. So that.
Sorry, I keep pausing it, but as she talks about it more, there's things I want to touch on. So as far as the glue turning white, that is that shock polymerizing that is going on. And it's also called blooming. And I've never actually seen it from the humidity being too high, but when I do see it a lot is if that client is tearing in that outer corner, and then you're trying to apply a lash out there or something like that, where it's like directly in the water, or you're putting it on and then it's puddling because their eye just started to tear, you will see that it starts to turn white. It's very weird and it's annoying and it turns hard and it's hard to get off that lash. And not only is it annoying, ugly, but it makes the lash not last in a couple of days. And sometimes it'll even pop off right there.
That means you're getting them wet too fast and it's curing too fast and not in real time like it should be. If you are noticing your hygrometer is going below the range of the humidity on your adhesive, you can use a humidifier to get that boosted back up so it's within range. But if your adhesive is curing slow, then that probably means that your humidity is too low for the glue that you're using. And you definitely want to plug that humidifier in and get it going, or you can have a backup adhesive for lower humidity that will most likely work better in the situation you're working in. So if you have ever noticed that your adhesive is sliding off the natural lash, there's a few things that could be. It could deal with your prepping routine. You may be over prepping, you may be under prepping, you may be dealing with an over porous lash, but you definitely want to keep in mind that your temperature does play a huge role in your adhesive as well. Most of the Live Bay Lash adhesives work best in 67 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you have it like how my hygrometer reads right now, it's at 78. That means that's way too high for the adhesive. So what you can do is you want to go to your thermostat and lower it, because what's going to happen as a result of too high of a temperature is your adhesive is not going to work properly. It's not going to be at that sweet spot. And chances are your adhesive is going to be slipping completely off the lash and it's not going to be adhering where it should be. Some things that you can do is store your adhesive properly. We do have a new Live Bay canister. It's airtight. It can fit up to 3 adhesives, up to 10 ml. That's amazing to store your lash adhesive when you're not using it. You also want to make sure that if you are using a Climax bonder, our Climax bonder, that you're not storing it directly next to your adhesive. That means you definitely don't want to be storing them all together in one canister. You want to keep it completely separate. It's just like working in a hair salon. The chemicals can cancel out some ingredients in the adhesive and it can dry it out. So therefore your adhesive is no good.
Don't worry about that
If
part.
you work for someone at a salon and they tend to turn the air or the heat off at nighttime,
Okay, that part doesn't matter. So hopefully that helped you guys a little bit more, just gave you a little bit more insight than what I had said. So that's the glue. I just wanted you guys to understand that. What I want you guys to do over the weekend is, I haven't checked yet since the other day when I checked, but how are you guys doing with scoops? Is anyone like struggling or need help or not understand something on there at all?
I got a lot of front desk work and I didn't really tap into the eyelash portion, which is exactly, it's weird for me because I'm like, why am I learning all this other things that won't necessarily apply to me? And I
Well,
can't find like the lashes portion.
okay, so I had sent, I think it was in a text message. I sent the videos that I recommended that you watched and in what order. So, and it should be in our group chat if you just scroll up and look at those videos. But when you go into Skooks, there's a little search bar and you can type, like, look at the title that I said, whatever it says, like, welcome to Amazing Lash. You can type in like, welcome to Amazing, click enter, and that video will pop up. So it's listing all of the videos that we have. So it's putting you on as if they didn't know what you were signing up for, if you were a stylist or a front desk. You don't need to watch the front desk videos. Sorry if you already did, but well, at least you kind of have an idea. I did put on there to watch how to clock in and out of MindBody and how to, I don't know if I put in there how to schedule an appointment or how to check a client out. I don't know if I did or didn't for that one. But I recommended like 1 or 2, just so you kind of, well, you need to know how to check in, but I might've wrote one that was like how to check a client out or something. And if I did, that's just so that you have an understanding, but you don't need to know that. There have just been times like once in a blue moon before where the girls are like crazy running around up there and there's a client that's waiting and I'm like, oh, I don't have someone next where I would be able to like help them or check them out or ring, whatever it is. But that's not for you. Just what the list that I sent, if you go in, you'll see there's a little search bar. Do you know what I'm talking about in the center? There should be, at least on my end. So I hope it looks the same for you guys. You can go into training and then there should be a little search bar and where you put in the search, just search like the first couple words or or the whole title of the video in that text that I sent. Does that make sense? And then don't get, I don't remember who it was. Actually, I don't even know if she told me who it was. But Ruth was saying to me that some of the girls were like nervous about the tests on there. Do not be nervous about the test. It's literally nothing. You can retake them. It's not a big deal. It's just to see what you know. This isn't like a pass and fail type of thing. So don't stress about that. Just take it and see what you honestly know. And you can always go back and retake it. And also, in my opinion, it's different, you know, because you learn one thing learning from the Skooks, but it's different when we're face to face over the computer and I can kind of explain things and break things down a little bit differently than a video might be able to. Whereas now you may understand some things better than just watching those videos. Does that make sense? So I don't want you guys to think that I'm like, oh my God, she didn't pass this. Like I'm literally not doing that at all. I don't even want you to watch half the Skooks, but that's okay. It's good so that you get an idea. Okay. Some of them are really helpful and it does help you just get a little bit of knowledge behind it. So just make sure you're watching them, going over anything that you think may confuse you again. As far as what I want you to do this weekend, I definitely want you guys to go through the products, which is page 50 to 55. In there is the Instantly Young Serum, the serum in the products that we carry. We do not sell that anymore, just so you know. So you don't have to like remember those. But I do want you to go through because although this week, I'm saying I'm hoping, but I have to find time to take you to the front to show you where the stuff is and to go through those products. But I want you to have knowledge of them before, okay? Like understand what they do. So that way, when you come in on Monday and we're doing, I'm giving you even more information because you're gonna have to learn how to pick up a lash and how to hold a tweezer and all of this. Your brain is going to be like, what, by the time we get to the front and I'm on like the third product, it's going to be mush inside. Okay. So just try to get acclimated and comfortable and think about when you would need these things. You know, the first page is the foaming wash, the lash brush, and the retractable styling wand. That's page 50. And that's always what I try to usually sell to my first time clients. Okay. Like that's like what they really should have. So just like know that. And then the other things are important to know too, but some of them are common sense, like the clear brow gel and lash gel. But there are good things to know, like our mascara isn't regular mascara. You can't put regular mascara on the lashes. You can only use this one. It's water-based. Most mascaras aren't water-based, okay? So things that you wanna know, such as that, the lash coating, it'll tell you like the directions, use no more than every 3 days during the middle of the day. So things like that are important because if you sell that lash coating and they go home and they wash their lashes and they put that lash coating on when their lashes are wet, it becomes like gel gummy in their lashes. So making sure that you understand these products so that when I go over them, it makes sense to you and you're comfortable suggesting them to clients. Aftercare, just review that a couple times. You are 100% gonna need to know that and reiterate it to the client. So the earlier you know it, the better. I don't want you to get too confused in it, but just start to read it, understand it. If you have questions, let me know. That way it's not a complete you're not completely blinded to it on Monday, because like I said, you're going to have to go over all of that. And once you start having your clients this week, you're going to have to be saying you're going to have to go through all the aftercare. Now, what I will say is I feel like the aftercare can kind of be overwhelming. So one of the girls that I was just training, she kept struggling with the aftercare. So when I say it to my clients, I say it in a certain way that I try to make it fluid. So it, like, I'll start by saying, I'm going to start to go over the aftercare. It is a lot. So I am going to give you an aftercare sheet at the end that goes over everything again. So don't get overwhelmed. And I'll start with, don't get your lashes wet for 24 hours. After the 24 hours, we do want to be washing them 1 to 2 times a day. In conjunction with that, we want to be brushing them, so on and so forth. So I do it in a way that it kind of flows in the steps, or I try to, so that it makes sense, instead of being like, don't wear mascara, wash your lashes twice a day. Well, don't get them wet for the first 24 hours. Make sure you're brushing them. Like, so we want to do it, especially because someone that's laying there for 2 hours, they just woke up, they're probably like half asleep. And I know me personally, when someone starts to tell me that, in my head, I'm like, wait, what did they just say? Wait, what are they saying now? Wait, shoot. And you just don't know what's going on. Okay. So what I did is I wrote something out for her of how I literally speak it. If that's something that you guys want, I can give that to you too. So that it makes it easier for you. And then you can always customize it to like how you want to say something too. So I can give that to you guys on Monday if you want it. But just go over the aftercare, really study the products. The products are really important. I want you to study those. We do need to be on top of that. I can't have, in the past, I was a little bit lackadaisical with the girls saying, you know, I trusted them enough to be like, okay, well, let's know the products. We went over them. I thought they studied them, and that wasn't the case. So we need to be on top of them, because I can't put anyone on the floor until they know the aftercare, until they understand the products. Because if you don't understand the products and why we need them, you're not going to be able to help that client when they come back in for an issue during a refill. Okay. So definitely the products, the scoops, if you feel like you need to go over anything, or if you need to complete things, definitely do that. And I'll probably be checking the progress on that probably Sunday morning or something. And then the aftercare. Okay. As far as tweezers, I think they show you on the scoops, but if you don't know, and I can send you a picture of this too, if you want, so that you can practice holding them over the weekend. But this guy is your pickup tool. This is what you'll be picking up the lashes with and placing the lashes onto the natural lash. This goes in your dominant hand. So whatever hand you write with. I'm a lefty, so it's going in my left hand, and you're putting your index finger and your middle finger on one side and your thumb on the other. You're not doing one. This is ergonomically correct. Okay. If you're doing one finger, if you're down here, if you're all the way back here, your wrist after like 3 clients is going to kill you. And after a week, you're going to be in constant pain. Okay. So we always need to make sure that we're ergonomically correct when we're lashing. You are never using these last two. These last two are always going to be balancing on the face. Again, don't get overwhelmed, because this is stuff I'm going to go over, but I just want you to have an idea. Okay. So what I recommend to girls sometimes when they go home, if you don't have like paper tape, you can take like a hair tie or a rubber band. We're not cutting off for circulation. We're just loose enough. Okay. But so that it makes you remember that you are not using these fingers. These are always what's going to be balancing on the head, both hands. Okay. We always want to be balancing. So, these 3 fingers are on the tweezer. 2 here, 2 here. Thumb, 2 fingers. Okay. Does that make sense to you guys? And I can take a picture so you can see how they're held in my hands. A lot of people I see all the time, they'll start, they'll do this. They'll do this. Okay. So remember, if you're picking up your lashes, we're going to pick up the lashes like this. So you want your tweezer upright. We don't want it down like this. And then this is going to go through here. I just want to show you guys, this isn't like you have to know this right now. Okay, so if you wanted to open your tweezers, oh, if you drop these, they are done for, like 99.9% of the time. Doesn't matter what happens to them, 99% of the time, if you drop a tweezer, it's done for. The tiniest dent, anything, if you get a little bit of glue in here, which we can remove that, but you will notice how it will no longer pick up the lash the way that it's supposed to. It'll fall right through, it'll turn to the side. When you're going to separate lashes that are stuck together, it won't grip that natural lash. And it'll be pulling on the client's natural lashes. Okay. So if you decide to take them out at home, just be careful, and in studio, be careful that you don't drop them. Okay. Put them back in their packaging with their little hats on and call it a day. Cool. Any question, comments, concerns? No. Yes.
One concern.
Yes.
I forgot to mention this the other day, but Ruth had mentioned to me when I was getting my manual
Mhm.
to ask you if I'm going to be training at the Short Hill studio the entire time, or the second half of my training will I come back to the Warren studio?
You will probably be with me all of the time. You may, we'll discuss this. It's not like that big of a deal, but that last day of training, that Friday that I said to you guys yesterday that I won't be there, you may want to go there and try that way. That's like your test day, so you could feel comfortable, see where everything is. We'll talk about it. If you want to go like a day earlier, I just also have to make sure that someone there is available to check your work or help you if you need it.
Yeah.
So that's the best answer. You'll be with me the majority of the time. The last day you may be at Warren, and maybe a day before that.
To be honest, I just came to ask because I was like, let me just ask because I was told to. Because in actuality, I didn't mind driving over there.
Yeah, well, it's better because then I'll have all of you guys and I can check on you. If you're at Warren, I don't know what's going on, especially the
Mhm.
beginning of the second week with refills and things. They won't be there to, like, if you go there, it's just going to be like some girl is able to check at the end of your set really quick that everything's okay. Like if you have an issue, they'll be able to help you, but it's going to be kind of way more difficult. I could see the last day though, so that you can get acclimated to like that studio, since that's where you'll be.
Okay.
But we'll talk about that more. So Short Hills on Monday, I believe it's 10 to 5. I think I wrote in that chat. So just wear all black. You can get a scrub top from Walmart for $5. You can wear black leggings if you want, black pants. Just make sure no patterns, no rips, etc., etc. And again, products, because I'm going to ask you about some products on Monday. Go over the aftercare and the prices. Make sure you do your scoops. Okay, so products, aftercare, make sure you do your scoops or anything you're confused on, and then prices. So you don't have to remember the whole price list, but know what the membership costs are, know what a non-member versus member full set is, refill, a volume upgrade, things like that. Okay, just so you have an idea. And the product prices are on that list too. All righty. All right, guys, I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you for coming. I thought we were gonna get off early, but again, I feel like I still have so much more I can say. But there's a lot of information. You guys seem to be doing really great. I think you guys will do awesome. Again, also, I don't know if you need to write it down or not, but don't forget to bring in those tweezers on Monday, okay? Because we need them. And yeah, that's it. So I will see you guys Monday, 10 a.m., bright and early. Remember, if you want to get prescription glasses from the drugstore or dollar store, definitely do that. And don't have coffee on Monday. Sorry. And have a good breakfast. Okay. But the coffee is going to make you shake. I'm telling you, you're going to regret it. All right. If you have any questions or if we need to reach out to you again, which I don't know, probably Ruth has something to say on Sunday or something, then we'll do that. Okay. But I hope you guys have a great weekend. Text me if you need anything or have any issues. All right, guys. Bye. See you Monday.